welcome to the Fearless Money Management Podcast, where we empower women to take control of their finances. I'm Claire Strong, and today I'm chatting with Lauren Martin, who's a health, nutrition, and habit coach. Hi, Lauren. How are you?
Hi, Claire. Thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being on the show. I'm actually really looking forward to our conversation today. And as I've just said in the introduction, you are a health, nutrition, and habit coach. And you're also a mom, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I've been doing health and wellness for about 25 years, and I'm a mom of 3 little kids, 4, 7, and 10.
Oh my God. Well, you need a medal first and foremost. I think I have enough on with 2, but 3 is a lot. And you're doing, all your business stuff as well. So that's crazy. But thank you so much for joining us today, because obviously this podcast is all about empowering women to become financially free and financially literate. But as part of all of that, Lauren, we have to be in a good state mentally and physically to be able to be in a good state to actually, have the energy to put into our finances. So first of all, let's chat a little bit about this. How can exercise help with all of that? Because honestly, finances can be really overwhelming, especially if, like me, this is a new journey. So how can exercise help us, really help ourselves when it comes to finances?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, your health has to be the cornerstone of really anything that you do, because without your health, you really have nothing. So I really, when anybody's making a habit change, whether it's finance or fitness or job change or anything, you really have to start with your health. And I think that introducing those habits in your healthy routine is also going to give you energy, which is going to help you have that brain space and capability to also tackle something that's really uncomfortable, like money and financial freedom and starting off, because it's very overwhelming. Exercise also is going to reduce your cortisol, which is the hormone that produces stress. And if you're like me with a mom of 3 or 2 or 0 kids or a job, the thought of thinking about money automatically makes you stressed out. And so exercising daily is really going to reduce that cortisol stress hormone and then help you reduce your overall anxiety, so that when you go to, start something new like finances, you don't already start with a stressful spot. You're already starting from like a little bit below that stress. And so that you're able to tackle those new things.
So let's talk a little bit about the types of exercise that are good for us. So, for example, what can we do that maybe doesn't involve necessarily paying for an expensive gym membership, for example, especially if we're budgeting and we're trying to cut back on our spending? So what are some cheap and even free ways that we can get exercise into our daily schedules and, obviously not break the bank in the process?
Yeah, I think especially if you're starting from scratch with exercising, anything that you do that you enjoy or try to enjoy at the beginning is going to be beneficial. So everybody can walk for the most part, unless you have injuries that prevent. And if you live in San Diego, which I know you do, the weather's always beautiful. Here in the Northeast, you have to maybe put some gloves and hats on, but walking is always great. And then I think the pandemic really helped us realize that you don't have to always go somewhere to get something done.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that you can do at home with just your own body weight. So our functional movements, squatting, pressing, pulling, pushing, hinging, and core work can all be done with zero equipment or little equipment as you get a little bit stronger. And you can find a lot of those resources just by Googling free body weight workouts, free strength workouts for women. I know even me, I have an Instagram page that I put on body weight workouts, vacation workouts, strength workouts, and even a lot of online programming right now really is affordable, and you can pay a monthly subscription for under $20 to get that workouts. So it really is at the fingertips with media and the pandemic kind of giving us alternative ways. But strength training for women is very important. Not only does it help build your muscles and your bone density, but it also reduces that anxiety that we were talking about. And it also gives you that empowerment feeling when you get strong that you can kind of tackle on anything. So those are some things that you can start with.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I'm lucky enough to live in San Diego, so our weather is pretty good. But I am an England native, so I know what the rain and cold is like. But for me, walking has always been my go-to stress reliever. I've never been bothered about, necessarily alcohol or anything like that. But walking, I'm just in such a better frame of mind. Even if I just go out for 20 minutes, I would really recommend that. You talked a little bit at the beginning about habits. Now, am I right in saying that does it take about 3 weeks to form a habit?
I mean, that's what the professionals say. I don't know really where that ever came up from, but they say it takes 21 days to get a habit to stick. I usually start off a lot smaller with people, like 1 week at a time, because usually when I work with a client, I start off, let's just look at the week. What is realistic and manageable for 1 week? So, you decide to change something like your finances or your fitness, and you're like, I'm going all in. I'm joining the gym. I'm running 6 miles. I'm doing the marathon. And then you do it for 2 days and then everything hurts. And then you're like, oh gosh, or you get overwhelmed with the money stuff. And so usually what I have people do is let's start off with small changes. So like if walking is going to be your go-to, you're not going to walk for an hour every day. How about we start with 20 minutes, like you suggested, 3 times this week? And if you can get 3 times that week, then the next week, okay, I did 3 times a week. Let's keep that going. And then let's add in 1 day of strength training, which will be body weight that you could do at home. And then once you kind of master that, then you stack another habit, which might be a yoga or meditation for your anxiety instead of you can't walk because it's raining out. And then once you kind of stack those, all of a sudden you have a program.
Okay, so I like the fact that you're breaking this up into baby pieces because, especially as it relates to the subject we're talking about on this podcast, which is finance, finances are already such an overwhelming topic. So we don't then want to pile on another overwhelming topic, as in exercise. And it can be because here's the thing. I think I've seen your stuff on Instagram and it's great. And we'll mention where people can find you at the end of the show. But, when I check my feed sometimes, particularly on Instagram, I am bombarded because the algorithms picked up that I'm interested in this. I am bombarded with, personal trainers and women doing this and I should be doing that. And I need to be, 10,000 steps a day. And I'm overwhelmed with it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I like your approach, actually. You're basically saying, Lauren, that, it doesn't need to be overwhelming, that, and also I like that you said, depending on the week. So if we've got a busy week coming up, for example, so, say this week, my husband's working away, the kids have got a lot on, I've got a lot on. It's okay if for that week, all I can fit in is a quick 20-minute walk around the block.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think that's where we get very overwhelmed, especially people who are maybe perfectionism or like to be perfect or type A. We all want to achieve stuff. And so we're like, more is better, but really more isn't always better. It's very simple things to start with. And you can always get a fine tune your fitness. You can always fine tune your finances. You can always get better and better. But to start with people, most of my workouts that I do nowadays too, 20 to 40 minutes tops per day. And as long as you're efficient and you're consistent, that's the biggest thing. And I think we can tie that into finances too, because it's not about how much you do. It's about how consistent you do the smaller amounts because they add up. Like for instance, if you were to run 1 mile every day for 365 days a year, that's 365 miles. But if you did 2 miles every weekend, it's like still less than if you did it every day. So really breaking it down into smaller intervals more often and actually adding it into your daily routine is going to benefit you for long term.
Okay, now there was a saying on the wall at my daughter's elementary school which said failure leads to success, something that I have kept with me throughout my my adult life. And that as it relates to this topic, exercise, how do you encourage your clients to stay motivated after setbacks? Because it is hard. You have a few days where you couldn't fit in exercise. Maybe you've not been feeling great. You've been stressed. You're tired. And then all of a sudden, it seems a bit daunting again, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the nature of anything that's a little hard. It's you kind of get that mojo, and then if you fall off, it's really hard to get back on. And I'm sure that's the same thing with finances, right? It's like balance your checkbook. You're doing this, you're investing, and then all of a sudden you kind of forget about it. But you can always get back on. That's the thing. It's like it doesn't go away, and any progress that you've made over time, it doesn't go away by missing a day or two. It's like stacking those habits. It's like it's not linear. It's like you take a step back, but you're already ahead of when you first started. And so I think the motivation, one thing for me is I always remind myself after I work out, even if you have a journal, like writing down like how good you feel. And anytime you're like, oh, I'm too tired. Well, I'm going to be tired whether I work out or go for that walk or not. But if I go for the walk, I'll probably feel a lot more energetic. So reminding yourselves of how good you feel after you do the thing that was hard. And exercises like this, the minute you do it, you get an immediate endorphin rush.
Yes.
So it's a very instant relief. Unlike, finances, you might have to invest for a while, but exercise, the minute you go for a walk, 20 minutes later, 9 times out of 10, you already feel better.
Well, I've got to say, even on days where I've been absolutely exhausted, because I'm a Pilates girl, so if I manage to get myself to Pilates or if I go out on my power walks, every time I'm so glad I did it. I can't ever remember a time, honestly, Lauren, that I've gone and done exercise and regretted it afterwards, even if I've been exhausted beforehand. Okay, so what are some of the pitfalls that we should avoid when we're embarking on our, either new exercise journey or certainly, making sure that we are prioritizing that as we try and get on top of our finances too?
Oh yeah, I think some of the pitfalls is like wanting like immediate results. And when you don't get them, you are like, nope, I give up. This is too hard or this isn't for me. And I think you mentioned it earlier when you scroll on social media with anything, you can always see someone who's been doing it for a very long time and having a lot of success and compare yourself. So what you have to kind of do is like, well, where did they start and how long have they been doing it? And you can't really compare yourself to that other person because, I've been doing fitness my whole life. So of course I'm going to be better at it than someone who's just starting. So you have to kind of give yourself a little bit of self-love and grace and say, this is where I'm starting. I can't compare myself to other people. You have to compare yourself to yourself and where you started and celebrate the small wins. Like I went for a week and I did my 3 walks at 20 minutes. Celebrate. And then the next week I went the 3 walks and I did it faster. Celebrate that. Just like with money, you start at 0. You can't expect to be a billionaire. You have to take the small wins, and then those wins start to compound as you get better and better.
Yeah, you're so right. And hey, listen, I just a bit of a random one, but going back to this walking thing that I love to do as well. How on earth can you fit 10,000 steps in a day? Like, how do you do that realistically? Because I always see, 10,000 steps a day, that should be your aim. I'm like, girl, I what the heck? I mean, even if I go out for an hour's walk, I don't think that's 10,000 steps. So I want to know, how do you even fit that in? And B, is it really essential that we have to reach these crazy step targets every day, or is just something better than nothing?
Yeah, I think something's always better than nothing, hands down. Just like investing in a penny is better than investing in nothing. I think you always have to take that. I think it depends on your job. Like I walk a lot, so my steps are, I would say probably 99% always at 10,000 steps a day. That's an arbitrary made up thing. It's just like somebody somewhere said 10,000 steps a day is great. So you have to really look at your lifestyle, your limitations. Like if you have like a bum knee or a bum ankle, you might have to focus a little bit more on your nutrition than on your actual fitness. But how to get them if you're able and willing, going for a walk first thing when you wake up, if you're able to get that 20-minute already boost of exercise in the morning. They say park your car further from where you have to go, take the stairs anytime that you can. In the afternoon, getting in a little afternoon 10-minute walk, meeting with a friend for, instead of coffee or drinks, meeting for a walk. It's just the same. You get to communicate with them. Taking your kids out for a bike ride and then walking with them on the side. So those small little habits throughout the day add up to a big result. But it's not necessary to hit 10,000 steps. It's necessary to be consistently active most days.
Okay, well, I'm glad you cleared that up because that's something I'm always like, what the heck? How on earth is that possible? But okay, I get it. So again, it's just breaking stuff down. Do you, as a woman, feel that pressure that I know a lot of us do. I do myself, that comparison pressure. And it's something that I try and stop myself doing. But Lauren, it's almost like that's my default button. And so, when I'm looking at Instagram or I'm on social media, and I'm
Mhm.
comparing myself with other women. Oh, look what she's doing exercise wise. I can't do that much. Look at what great shape she's in. I don't look like that. It, do you feel that? Because I know that you do this as a living,
Mhm.
and if so, how do you navigate it? Because that in itself can be overwhelming, and it can be quite a deterrent, if you like, from your own progress.
Yeah, I mean, I think that has been instilled in women from the time that we were born or for first grade or something. It's definitely very hard to not compare yourself to others. And I think I struggle with it all the time. Even in being in the fitness industry, I always see somebody who's doing it better than me or more than me or has a better body or a better six pack or that or this. Like you could do it with anything. They have a better job. They have a better husband. They have a better car. They have, and I think what you really need to do is to do that self work on yourself and really that self love from within and really set realistic goals and standards for yourself and celebrate your own wins. Because first of all, you never know what anybody's going through. Like that's social media is
So true.
it's a reel of the good.
Yeah.
But I really do think just looking at yourself and really celebrating your own personal wins. And I know for me, my strength is fitness and nutrition. I'm with you. Finance is not my strength. So one of the biggest things is being empowered, switching it from comparison to being empowered by other women and looking to those people that know more in the industries that you're not in and really learning from them. So I'm excited to learn from you. This is my first podcast. I've never done this. This is like terrifying, but
You're doing great.
instead of comparing myself to you, I'm like, how do I learn from this person? And then they can learn from my strengths because we all have a set of strengths.
Yeah, totally. And, this podcast is totally about empowering women. It is just that. And,
Mhm.
obviously, a lot of our listeners are going to be starting on their financial journey, as am I. So we're all growing together. And it's just great that we're able to, get these wonderful women on the show who are sharing their knowledge and their experience so that we can all, grow and take bits that work for us and go on from there. But I'm just wondering, actually, Lauren, how does exercise help you with your finances and your financial health?
Well, oh yeah. I mean, so I think it's what we talked about before. It's like it can be very overwhelming. I think financial insecurity is a very real stress for adults. I mean, not kids, obviously, but like for adults and especially moms and women, because how do you pay for all of your bills and save for the future? And you can live in like that fear and anxiety of the future. And I think of like my fitness and health kind of the same way. A lot of people probably feel stressed about their fitness and their health for their future. But instead of getting super, super overwhelmed about it, like I just like same thing, break it down into the day. What can I do today to, not be as stressed about my financial future? And what I can do today is start to learn. And, I know that this company is really focused on learning and teaching and growing. So, I think that's how I use the exercise in comparison with finance. I have to be like, if I could do fitness, I can see a linear result. If I do my finances, I see a linear result. And then I'll be less stressed if I have education and knowledge.
Yeah, I love it. That makes total sense. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at things, Lauren. Um, what's your favorite exercise to do that makes you feel less stressed afterwards?
Oh, weight training for sure. I think, and it's also the big buzz, right? I know it's out there. People are learning. Women are like, oh, the thing to do is strength training. The thing to do is strength training. Like you see it over and over. And the reason is yeah, walking's great for your mental health and getting the fresh air. But when you can like lift something, you feel like empowered. And, it translates into your everyday life too. So you're like, oh, I could pick up that couch. Oh, I could pick up my groceries. I can carry my kids inside. I hear that time and time again for my women clients. They're like, oh, I just carried this stuff and with no problem. And it gives you a self-esteem and confidence.
It's funny you said that because I was talking to my sister-in-law just the other day, and she weight trains, and she was saying the same thing to me, that when she's training and when she's lifting weights, she just feels stronger mentally. She feels like she could literally take on anything life throws at her, because that morning she was lifting, whatever dumbbell. But talking about weight, so for some women, weights can be a little scary. I know for me, so I'm a former ballet dancer, and honestly, I didn't do a
Mhm.
great deal with weights. And so weights are something that I'm learning about now. And so it can be a little daunting, especially if you haven't done it before. So what would
Mhm.
you say is a general rule of thumb to get started with weightlifting?
Yeah, I mean, it is daunting because there's so much information out there. I know even for me, it's my profession. And when I started doing Olympic weightlifting or something that was like more intense, I was terrified. So if I'm terrified, normal, like non-weight trainer people are terrified. Or I still get nervous going into a gym that I don't know, which is silly because I've been doing
Oh,
this for
wow.
20 years. So even I get intimidated. So I think really doing some sort of foundational starter program. I offer that, but I know like if you even said like beginner weight training, like the 5X exercises, or kind of Googling that kind of stuff or taking some YouTube videos, that's how you get started. And it's like really basic, like just very basic exercises that you can probably do at home so you're not as nervous. And then just getting a little confidence with them and keep it going consistently, and then adding a little more and then adding a little bit more. But I think getting a little direction is helpful.
Oh, yeah, for sure, especially because of form. What always scares me a little bit with weight training, and sometimes if I am doing weights, I go to the gym with my husband because he's been doing it years and he's
Mhm,
got good
mhm.
form. But it is the form, Lauren, because I'm like, oh God, should I be feeling this in my back? I guess I shouldn't. I need to make sure my core's on. And so you do need that bit of direction. Do we need to like go out and buy weights, or can we improvise and use like cans of soup, for example, or something that we have at home? What would you say?
People probably say yes, you can, but I always say like invest a little bit in equipment that's going to be good for your body, especially if you're a little bit older. Like you don't want to risk like cans of soup. Those weren't designed to do that. So I would say, you can get at, Target or Walmart or somewhere, like you get a very inexpensive pair of dumbbells, and you really need one set of dumbbells to get started. So, even if it's 5 pounds or 10 pounds, and you can find those for under $20, but those will last for years and years and years. So I think it's worth an investment in a set of dumbbells if you're going to start weight training.
Well, this has been fantastic. And I know personally that exercise does make me feel a lot calmer and a lot less stressed. And I love the information you've shared with us today, because as we all embark on this financial journey together, it is essential that as women, we also remember to look after our mental and physical state too. So thank you so much, Lauren. And where can people
Yeah,
find
thank
you?
you.
If our listeners want to get a hold of you and maybe want to sign up to one of your courses, where can they find you? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm just Lauren Martin Fit, FIT, .com, Lauren Martin Fit handle on Instagram, Lauren Martin Fit on LinkedIn. I think where else am I? TikTok, Facebook. So it's just Lauren Martin Fit.
Thank you so much, Lauren. This has been a pleasure. And we'll be speaking to you on our next episode all about nutrition. So I can't wait for that too. And
Thanks, Claire.
listeners, I'd love to hear from you. Please share your journey with fitness and how it helps you navigate your finances. So any experiences, I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, please check Lauren out because she's great.
Thanks, Claire.
So that brings us to the end of today's episode of Fearless Money Management. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave us a review. Your support helps us to reach even more amazing women on their journey to financial freedom. Bye for now.